years ago. And we actually pulled the code out of our archive so you can see the code that was written in French and German. And it put our company on a path that has given us the opportunity to connect with, to support, to work with every part of the economy across Europe, to work with companies across Europe, to become part of the European economy. And we started small with that first product. I joined Microsoft in 1993. My first 3 years were spent in Paris at what was then our European headquarters. And of course, in recent years, we have been embarking on a massive construction project across all of Europe, building data centers that I could not even imagine when I first joined the company in 1993. We have data centers in 16 countries. You see them displayed here. It gives us the opportunity, as few companies have, to connect with innovation in every part of the European economy, with European governments, with European open source developers, and with European nonprofits. But what I'm really here to talk about today is what we're announcing today: Microsoft's European digital commitments. This is a moment in time when we understand that there are questions that customers have, that governments have, nonprofits, citizens have about the role of American technology in a time of greater geopolitical volatility. And therefore, I feel it's important to speak on behalf of our company to provide an unambiguous commitment that we are making for all of our customers across this continent. And there are 5, and I'll walk through each of them briefly. The first is our commitment to continue the work that we've been on to help build a broad AI and cloud ecosystem across Europe. So today we're announcing that during the next 2 years, we'll expand our data center capacity across Europe by another 40%. This will enable us to double our data center capacity in Europe over the course of 4 years, from 2023 to 2027. It will enable us to operate 200 data centers in 16 countries across Europe. But in a way that I think speaks to the questions of this moment, I want to underscore something else. We understand that Europe wants a broad AI and cloud ecosystem. It wants to have a variety of suppliers on which it can rely. And we're committed to supporting that kind of broad approach. So with respect to Microsoft's own work in this area, it is multifaceted. We have our public cloud and our public cloud data centers, which are really a foundation for everything we're doing. But a second alternative that we have created in partnership with European governments and companies is a set of sovereign cloud data centers operating in Germany, operating in France with local partners. In Germany with SAP and with a subsidiary of Bertelsmann. In France with Capgemini and Orange. These are data centers that have Microsoft technology inside, but they're operated by German companies. In addition, we are committed to partnering with European cloud providers. This is something we've embarked on in part because of the nudge of the European Commission and the concerns of the European cloud sector. And so it led us to commit to greater and deeper collaboration with European providers, to provide them with the ability to use and run Microsoft software on terms that are more favorable than we give to Amazon and Google. This, we believe, is important as long-standing, ongoing support for European cloud companies. In addition to that, we are focused on other alternatives as well. We appreciate that Europe will likely want new sources of competition and cloud computing, including potential investments of public funding. We will be a good supporter, collaborator for the entire ecosystem here in Europe. That is the first commitment that we're offering. The second is a commitment to uphold Europe's digital resilience, even when there is geopolitical volatility. I think we need to recognize that we are navigating together an unusual, perhaps an unparalleled moment of geopolitical volatility across the Atlantic. And it is a time when we believe it's important for us as a business to be a voice of reason across the Atlantic. It's why I spent yesterday in Washington, D.C., talking to American officials about the issues that are important and, frankly, what I would be saying here today. But what we want Europeans to know is that they can count on us. That's why we're creating today and sharing a three-pronged commitment to uphold Europe's digital resilience. It starts with what we have built and will manage as a European cloud for Europe. Our European data centers are managed by European companies under European law, subsidiaries of Microsoft. They will roll up, they do roll up to a European company that will have a board of directors that consists exclusively of EU nationals, ensuring that European voices are heard loudly and clearly within Microsoft. But the second step is more important still. It is a digital resilience commitment. We are committing today that if any government anywhere in the world ever issues an order that seeks to compel Microsoft to suspend or cease operations and support for Europe out of our data centers here, we will go to court. We will take every legal avenue to contest any such order. I first want to say, I regard that as exceedingly unlikely to ever happen. And we appreciate that it is a real concern of people across Europe. It's not actually a topic that people are even talking about in Washington, D.C. But we know we need to address it. And we know that Europeans need to be able to count on us. That's why we're not just offering this as a pledge with words. We will implement this as a contractual commitment by Microsoft and by Microsoft Corporation and all of its subsidiaries in our contracts with national governments across Europe and with the European Commission, so that we're obligated to stand up and go to court if the situation ever arises. And I want people to remember, we have a track record of doing precisely that. We went to court 4 times against the Obama administration over the protection of customer data and privacy, including European data. We went to court against the Trump administration to protect the rights of employees who are immigrants. Twice we've gone all the way to the United States Supreme Court. We not only go to court, we tend to win the cases we bring. But finally, if we ever find ourselves losing, we will put in place business continuity partnerships, arrangements with European partners so they can step in, they can access our code where we'll have a backup copy of it stored in a secure repository in Switzerland. And they will be in a position to ensure the continuity of our services for our customers across Europe. And we also want to make an important statement today, a statement about where we stand and how we think about the role of European law. So when you look at the blog online, you'll see these 2 paragraphs. And as you can see, we get it. We believe in the rule of law as a company. We believe in the role of European law across Europe. We always have. It's been fundamental to our ability to build a business here, a single market that would better serve customers. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this in the Q&A. This includes competition law. This includes the Digital Market Act. This includes other important areas of European law and regulation. We're committed not only to building digital infrastructure across Europe, we're committed to respecting these laws and the role that the rule of law plays across this continent. The third commitment relates to privacy, that we'll continue to protect the privacy of European data. This has been not just a quest, but it's been a bit of a data crusade, if you will, because we believe fundamentally in privacy as a human right that needs to be protected around the world, that was born in many ways in Europe itself. That's why we were not just an adherent, but an advocate for the GDPR, not just in Europe, but frankly for worldwide application when it came into force. It's why we pursued what we call our EU Data Boundary Project, a project that we completed last year that gives European customers the ability to store and have their data processed in Europe. It's why we've added to that data boundary project with additional steps we have taken through what we call confidential compute, so that when our customers are using our Azure platform, they have the control they need over their data, even including control that covers whether and when Microsoft can access their data to provide customer support. You will see us take additional steps in the following weeks and months, because what we're offering today is not only these 5 commitments, but the first wave of concrete steps that we want to take. So I will say, stay tuned, because we'll have more to say and announce in concrete steps in this space. Fourth commitment I want to go to is also, frankly, for us, something of a crusade to protect the cybersecurity of Europe, a crusade to protect the cybersecurity of all of the countries of the NATO alliance, of the European Union, and other countries around the world. And as you know, for Microsoft, this has always included Ukraine. We were one of the first companies to step forward. We evacuated Ukrainian data to other data centers across Europe so it would be protected, even when cruise missile attacks destroyed Ukraine's own government data center. We have provided more than $500 million, $500 million US of free technology and financial assistance to Ukraine since the war began, without interruption. We have never stopped. We have included not just threat intelligence that we actively share, and we have never stopped, but also active work to disrupt cyber attacks against Ukraine. We want people in Europe to know that they can always count on Microsoft for our cybersecurity support. That's why today our CISO, our Chief Information Security Officer, announced that we've created a new position, a Deputy CISO for Europe, who will report directly to our CISO at our headquarters in Redmond and be even more involved in addressing European needs, issues, and concerns. And we want, as well as they spell out in the blog, the people of Europe to know that just as we've been committed to the GDPR for privacy, we recognize the importance of new European cybersecurity regulation. We're committed to implementing it and complying with it as it becomes what we see as fundamentally a new gold standard for cybersecurity law around the world. Here too, we will have additional steps that I'll be back announcing in the coming weeks, where there are initiatives that we will be launching to further strengthen and broaden our cybersecurity protection for Europe. And finally, we are committed to strengthening Europe's economic competitiveness, including for open source developers, open source code, open source models. People often ask me when I visit different European capitals, when I describe all the data centers we're building, who can use it? And the answer is, we are building this for Europe as a whole, for the companies that we've worked with over the last 50 years, and for the startups and scale-ups of today and tomorrow. It's been an enormous privilege for us to frankly be connected to so many parts of the European economy. And our view is that AI is the next great general purpose technology, a technology that will impact every part of the economy, like electricity did more than a century ago. This is a moment where, as the European leaders have recognized, there are real European needs when it comes to building a more competitive economy. We see this everywhere in the world, and we fundamentally believe that AI will be the indispensable element in building more competitive economies for every country in Europe and every country, in fact, around the world. We know that Europeans need to have confidence that they will be able to use what we are building at the platform and infrastructure level to fuel economic growth, to advance productivity gains. That's why a year ago in Barcelona, I announced our AI access principles. That's why, as we look back over the past year, we're encouraged by the progress we've made. We now have more than 1,800 AI models running on Azure, available to the world, and enabling people who create something new to make it available to everyone and go to market much less expensively, much more quickly. So many of those 1,800 models are open source models. So many of them involve European companies and entities like Mistral and Hugging Face. And you will see us take additional steps in this space as well to ensure that governments and customers across Europe have the confidence they need that they will be able to put this technology to work. Ultimately, these 5 commitments connect together, and we see them as very much complementary. They come out of the conversations that we've had with government leaders and with customers across Europe. Today is an important day, but it's really the first day in work that we will continue to pursue to implement these commitments and to build on them. Ultimately, what we are doing is building a European cloud built in Europe to run for Europe, fundamentally to serve Europe. And I believe it's a moment in time when it's important for American businesses to underscore for Europe that they can count on us. That is our view at Microsoft about the role we play. We celebrated our 50th anniversary as a company the first week of this month. I think it's fitting that as we approach now the end of the month, we look forward in here in Europe to a place that has been so important in our past. Microsoft would not be the global successful company that it is today without Europe, without the European customers that bet on us, without the European citizens that bet on us. Europe has always been good for Microsoft. It's been good to Microsoft, even when we had disagreements and challenging days, as I was often in the middle when those occurred. But throughout it all, we have always appreciated the role that European laws, European values, the European customer base, and the European economy plays. So fundamentally, we want the people of Europe to know that they can always count on us. Microsoft's support for Europe always has been and always will be steadfast. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're muted. Yeah.
There we are. Well, yeah. Normally we don't do that much. We don't go live, but I think this session was quite interesting.
Yeah.
I must say it was surprising to me, especially in the pace they presented this plan for Europe. Yeah, and I made some notes that I'd like to discuss with you, Lucas. First of all, they stated that they're gonna increase 40 the data centers with 40% in Europe, so 40% more data centers.
Yeah.
Which is quite surprising because based upon the latest news, we have seen they were even downsizing in that aspect. So surprised with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
and then
not so much in Europe, I believe, but especially I think in the US more.
yeah, it
But
was in the US. Yeah,
no, I think really strong, and especially the pace in which they are responding and taking action. Perhaps it has been on the in the planning for a while, but these are pretty strong announcements and really taking the concerns seriously.
yeah, they are taking this seriously, and as I was just making a post about this morning. It's not the China model they have. I think it's a similar way of addressing the concerns of all the parties out of Europe. There's always a difference between what you preach and what you practice. So I'm very curious how it will look in practice. All of the measures they have discussed. Also curious, yeah, what the commercial effects will be, because most certainly there will be some kind of commercial and contractual adjustment or whatever thing going on with regards to this.
Yeah.
It's also an interesting topic to keep an eye out for. But I
Yeah.
think, generally speaking, very yeah, proactive. Microsoft.
Proactive, positive, listening. So yeah, I like you say, very curious how this turns out in practice in terms of pricing, because I can imagine these things have impact. But yeah, then again, it's to be seen. And but first response would be very positive. Also keeping the focus on privacy, protecting the customers, and also increased focus on cybersecurity. I think a lot of customers also want to hear that. So
Yeah. No, so very interesting to see that, and of course for our followers, we will keep you informed on the. We will share a document this day, and we will share our opinion on that.
yeah, particularly interested in to hear all the folks that were that had some comments over the
Yeah,
last few weeks. Curious how they respond to this, like the
yeah,
municipalities speak to, and
yeah.
how
Yeah, I
they
was especially surprised by this statement. They say, "Well, we will even go to court if we have to defend your country." In the end, it's a firm statement, but being realistic, in the end, if a country, it's Microsoft is defending a country, I don't know how that will up in a court in the US. But at least they are doing something, and I have respect for that, and I appreciate that with all that's going on in the world. So
yeah.
yeah, I think it's a very bold move from Microsoft to do this. Very smart and intelligent to
and
be ahead
and
of
they are the first to do so. Maybe that's I
yeah.
don't see AWS or Google or any other party being so proactive and
Yeah. No, so that's more or less what I appreciate in Microsoft, always being on top of their game and not being reactive. I think even in this game, they try to avoid politics as much as possible.
yeah.
Now are seeing commercial momentum in this, even to monetize that. I think the other vendors are not at this at this pace. So I think smart move from Microsoft. Okay.
Yeah, well, and especially having Brad Smith presenting that, of course, from his role, he's always a great speaker and super
Yeah.
reliable.
No, he's a great guy to have these sessions with. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for the live stream. We will present more news probably in the day or tomorrow. So keep an eye out.
Yeah.
And if you do have any comments or remarks, do let us know, followers. Thank you all, and have a great day.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye.